It's been 8 years since Jonathan Blow released popular puzzle platformer Braid on the Xbox Live Arcade. Since then, he's been working nonstop on his second game, The Witness, which was recently released in January on the 26th. So what is The Witness? Well, first of all, we have a full review on the website. If you hit the link in the description below, that'll take you to the review. But judging from screenshots alone, it would look like a combination of Myst with some Team Fortress 2-ish art style thrown in. In reality, it's less Myst and more Rubik's Cube. The player starts in an underground tunnel, which then emerges onto a colorful island filled with mysterious buildings and machinery. In order to activate the machinery, however, various puzzles must be solved, so it is sticking true to the puzzle element of Jonathan Blow's games. There are an impressive 650 of these puzzles in the game, at least, and in each one, the player is required to trace a path across a screen, usually through an obstacle-filled grid. A big chunk of gameplay, however, is just figuring out how these obstacles work, using clues from the environment and from other puzzles. In fact, it's difficult to describe the game's mechanics without spoiling the game, but for example, the player might have to separate some colored squares while outlining specific shapes. Simple ideas like this are combined to become increasingly complex throughout the game and sort of permutates that on top of itself, becomes more and more complex as you go. In spite of this, the game's greatest strength is that it's practically impossible to become 100% stuck. The majority of puzzles are optional, since only a certain number of areas need to be completed to reach the home stretch, and our reviewer, Patrick Lathan, had a total count of only 369 puzzles by the end of the game, so that's a bit over half of what's in there. Clearly, a lot of effort was put into making The Witness challenging enough to be fun, but not so much to encourage cheating. And that's a good thing too, since cheating would turn the whole experience into a 30-minute stroll around a pretty island. And instead of Googling for an answer, the best solution is to find a simpler puzzle that explains the rules of the more complex one. They sort of build on each other in this way. And that is very solid game design that we think underscores the value of a good, well-designed puzzle game. Jonathan Blow estimates it would take about 80 hours to solve all of the puzzles honestly with no cheating, and that's probably conservative considering he made them. The aha moment of finally solving a tough logic puzzle is the game's primary reward, and it's in a similar sense to coding or playing Sudoku. There are a few hidden gems to be discovered, but puzzles are really designed to be solved for their own sake, and it's worth mentioning that all of the gameplay is made up of these puzzles. For those who don't enjoy them, if you don't like puzzle games, then don't even buy it. It's not the right game for you. What lies beyond the puzzles is really a matter of opinion. Anyone who's played Braid will be familiar with Jonathan Blow's method of storytelling, which leaves plenty of room for audience speculation. In The Witness, the bits of story that are revealed to the player are never direct. Instead, they're delivered as sort of snippets of philosophy. Jonathan Blow even chose to not include music in the game, and instead decided to create the perfect atmosphere for the mildly sinister, deserted puzzle island without music. The downside is that anyone who found Braid sort of quote-unquote pretentious or boring will probably think that The Witness is 10 times worse. So that is the downside of that. The Witness should run okay at minimum specs thanks to the new engine that Jonathan Blow created, and it uses a nifty dynamic resolution feature which scales resolution to downclass for lighter weight hardware like IGPs, but it is continuing to get regular updates with patch notes like, quote, graphics drivers are the worst thing in the world. So I don't know that I totally disagree with that sentiment either. I can totally understand why developers would struggle with graphics drivers because they are a mess. We are ourselves experienced with problems with AMD display drivers in this game, particularly the R9 285, but hopefully that'll be taken care of soon. The Witness is available now for the fairly modest price of $40. It's on Steam and elsewhere, and has already far outperformed Braid's first year of release in just a single week. So it's certainly worth looking into if you do like these kinds of challenging games. That is all for this coverage of The Witness. Check the article link in the description below for more information, and hit that Patreon link in the postal video if you want to help us out directly. Subscribe as always. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.